Hi, it's Bruce Naylor from Bruce TV, and today I am here to talk about this thing. This is the Matrix 22 transmitter. It's the bundled version which comes with a Trinity gyro system. The Trinity is unique, I believe, in that it doesn't use PID in its control system. It uses an alternative control system, which I could speculate what it is, but I don't know 100%, so I'm going to keep this video to what I know, as opposed to what I've heard, what I guess. Yeah. This is the Matrix 22. Normally it's white and comes with plastic sticks. When I say plastic sticks, I mean that the gimbals are injection molded as opposed to CNC machined. So this is very close to the top of the range Elite. The Elite comes with these metal sticks. The Elite comes black. But the Elite gives you, as far as I can see, 6 more channels and some extra little sliders. I couldn't see the justification of buying the Elite over the Matrix, so I bought the Matrix. This is in mode 2, so the collective throttle's on the left stick. It's not broken to you mode 1 guys. So, right, let's start off with the transmitter in this combination. Classic layout of a modern transmitter usually has like 3 major settings. You have either an aeroplane mode, you have a helicopter mode, or you have a sailplane mode. And each one of those 3 has unique control requirements, unique mixing requirements. So they've certainly through JR, they've split it into 3 separate sections. And when you create a model, you say, what sort of model do you want? Do you want an aeroplane, a helicopter, or a glider? And then from there, you then dig into the specifics of each model type. So you don't need pitch curves on an aeroplane. On a helicopter, you don't need flaps. On sailplanes, you need crow brakes and other toys like that. So yeah, they're all kind of the same, but they're all kind of different. So they each have their own different sections. What JR have done with this is they've deleted the glider side. And they've given you aeroplanes, helicopters, and Trinity as 3 different model types. And there's a good reason for this. Typically, I'm sure almost every system, you will bind your aircraft, your helicopter, whatever, to a transmitter setup configuration. And then you'll then configure collective pitches and cyclics and all those things specific to that model. And if you want to set up a second model, you'll then create a new configuration for that model, and you will then go through and fine-tune its configuration. With the Trinity system, they flipped it on its head and said, no, we have one kind of generic setup in the transmitter, which switch is which. I want to use my idle ups on that switch. I want to use a throttle hold on that switch. So those switch-based characteristics, which you would want on every helicopter you fly, properly, you set up once. And then you then connect it to a gyro, the Trinity, which then stores all the other characteristics. This is very akin to V-bar, from what I can gather. I've never had V-bar, but I believe this is how V-bar kind of works. The transmitter's kind of dumb, the receiver holds all the information. So with this transmitter, you can run it in helicopter mode, where it works conventionally with conventional receivers, conventional gyros, etc. Or you can set it up as a Trinity type device, where you really only need one setup in the transmitter. And when you turn on the receiver, it auto binds to that generic setup. So you no longer bind specifically to one model. It will now auto bind depending which model you've turned on in that system. This is the way I believe it works. If I've got any of this wrong, please comment in the section below and I'll modify the video to correct. This is as of November, where are we? November the 4th. So yeah, I mean, firmware will change, hopefully. improve and things will change. So as of now, I think this is like the September the 1st release firmware 2.006. This is how it works. 3 systems: helicopter, aeroplanes, and Trinity helicopters. Or is it aeroplane, helicopter, and Trinity? Anyway, one of 3 systems. When this is configured in its standard helicopter mode, talking to old TAG minis and the like, it's a really, really well thought out system. Very impressed. I've set up a model using a TAG's mini gyro, and some of the features are yes, things I've wished I'd had for years. Really nice. When you go into Trinity mode, a good chunk of those get disabled. Okay, and I'm sure this is the evolution. I'm sure eventually they'll evolve it into something better. But for now, a lot of the features I found out about in the first 2 or 3 hours of playing with the conventional TAG's gyro, I was kind of disappointed when I went to the Trinity and went, oh, so I can't do that anymore. Things like you can set up one of these trimmers to be an adjuster for part of your pitch range. So say you want to leave the bottom end pitch and the top end pitch alone, and you want to mess with the middle points 2, 3, and 4, you can grab points 2, 3, and 4, and then have them attached to one of these guys to slide up or down as a permanent update, which is kind of neat. Same with throttle, same with lots of things. That feature seems to have vanished when you go to Trinity. When you set up pitch curve and you move the collective, the servo moves so you can set it up in conventional helicopter mode. In Trinity mode, the servo doesn't move until you've said kind of OK, and then it updates the position, which is a bit jarring and a bit janky on the desk for initial setup. On the field, not a problem, but it's a bit janky on the initial setup. So you really have to think of this as being a conventional helicopter controller, or it's going to be a Trinity controller. Now, like I said earlier, all the curves and stuff are stored in the gyro. So every time you go into the menu system to adjust something, it has to suck all that data out of the gyro. It does it wirelessly, which is nice. No having to plug cables in. But you can then make your changes, say OK, and it writes it back to the gyro. And you can stay in those menu settings and you can fly in what I believe is a safe way. So you can very quickly set your helicopter up at the field using this system. Okay, so that's kind of what I've found so far about the difference between conventional helicopter and Trinity helicopter setup. Right, things that were a bit odd when I first opened the box on this thing. When I opened the box on this thing, I was presented with a beautiful plastic molded case with a zipper. Opened the zipper, inside was said machine, a small bag of tools, no instructions, no QR codes, nothing really. Now, I had been chatting to the distributor prior to purchasing this, and they had forwarded me some links to various websites saying, oh, this is where you find manuals, this is where you find update instructions and stuff. But on the actual box itself, or inside the box, there was nothing. So I went to turn it on, and there was nothing. I thought, okay, maybe the battery is low. Maybe it needs to be charged. So I plugged it into the mains, and nothing. So I went to the dealer and said, should there be a light on when it charges? And he went, oh, yeah, sure. Have you connected the batteries? No. Okay. So unit arrives with batteries installed, but not plugged in. Batteries are in a box at the back here. Now, these are regular M2.5 hex head bolts, but you don't get a tool to undo those in the tool bag. You get little grub screw, little Allen keys, but you don't actually get the Allen key needed for this. I mean, we fly helicopters, so everyone's got a 2.5mm spanner. So it's not a biggie. It's just, okay. So I took the back off, had to hunt around, find the cables, find the connector, plug it in, put the back on, fire it up. and then off she boots. Now, it takes, 30 seconds for the Android 7 based system, which controls the screen, to kick off. It's transmitting straight away, so you could fly if you wanted to. You just haven't got access to controls, configuration controls, until the Android system is up, which is about another 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, bing. And there's the default screen. I don't know if you can see in this light. I apologise if there's glare. But now we can get into it and we can fiddle with things. Okay. So that's what I've got to so far. I have a model. Trinity is installed. I had it flying within half a battery, flight battery. I had hovering sorted out and aerobatics by the end of the second battery. And I was doing autos with it. So it's once it's all turned on and base configured, configure at the field is really quick. You can really fly through it. Am I happy? Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I would have liked a get started quick guide, or a sheet of paper saying go to this website, or even better, a sheet of paper saying here's a QR code to get you to manuals which tell you to plug batteries in. But that's basically so far. Hopefully the next version of firmware that'll be resolved. Who knows? Because one of the reasons I bought this was I wanted to control everything I can from the transmitter screen. I'm fed up with having to use little boxes and plugging into PCs and having to go through power cycles every 10 seconds to configure things and to modify things. I wanted it like I hear the competition use, the ability to go into it, and then fly. So currently I can't do that with the governor, but I can do it with the cyclics, the rudders, etc. Flight characteristics so far, the Trinity, have been hard to ascertain because I've been flying in very windy conditions from day one. I haven't actually had anything like today, which is kind of calm, less than 10 mile an hour. So today I'll be flying and trying out some more setup and crack on with it. But so far, yeah, I'm pleased with it. So far, I'm pleased with the way it feels, even though it's kind of not the same shape as what I'm used to. I'm used to the XG11, which has much more curves to it and a grip ability. I fly pinching sticks, and I can fly without a neck strap, and it's nice. It's nicely balanced. The sticks feel lovely, possibly a bit light. I might have to tighten those a bit, but you can tighten them through the back. Oh, gee. There's little things you can put to get access. Turn that off. Yeah, it's my first modern radio that uses an operating system. I come from an embedded background, my work, and what I really didn't want was an Android or Windows CE based embedded solution on my transmitter. I didn't want that. But for the last 2 weeks I've been playing with this, and it's kind of neat because each function acts like an application. I think when you boot it up, it says there's 71 applications loaded. So that's like 71 separate little mini apps that all have the same look and feel. Yeah, it's quite neat. I'll get used to it. So I'm certainly quite happy with the way it feels in the air, flying around. It doesn't feel at all strange. Switch is a nice place. Lots of gaps to get to, fingers in switches. Nicely balanced. The whole thing is, it's metal. It's aluminium, but it's sprayed with paint. So it's a black spray, which I thought was a bit odd when I read about it. But you know what? It's great. It's really nice. Very pretty. It doesn't waste way too much. Yeah, on the whole, I'm pretty happy. 2 weeks in. So let's go flying.